All right, so we're back having another interview again, and you have been retained by Eric Bland and his firm for the Stephen Smith case, which has now been ruled a homicide. How'd you get involved in? Why did they ask you to help out with this?
Well, I formed a relationship with Mr. Bland during the trial, got to know him. He was a big supporter, and we have been kicking around ideas ever since then. We've stayed in contact, and he and Mr. Ronnie Richter reached out to me, and I was just honored and humbled to be trusted enough first, and that they felt confident in my abilities and skills that I could add something to this investigation. So I jumped at the opportunity when they asked, and I'm so humbled and honored that they would ask.
So Stephen Smith was a young man who his death was originally declared a hit and run accident, and this was in 2015, I believe.
2015, yes, ma'am.
And then recently, his mother was able to raise some funds to have his body exhumed for a second autopsy. And can you say anything about how that autopsy has been helpful in your investigation at this point, or no?
Yeah, absolutely. I have been in communication, as I mentioned, with Mr. Bland and Mr. Richter, and also Dr. Dupree, who was a big part in this second autopsy. I don't have the results per se, and we're not putting them out, anyhow, because we don't want to compromise any work that SLED's doing. But I was assured by Dr. Dupree that it was a very effective autopsy, second autopsy, and that they gathered much needed information, and there were no hiccups, and that it's real good evidence was collected.
Okay.
So I'm gonna fall back on Dr. Dupree and Eric and Ronnie, and when they feel free to put something public, or if they do, put something public, that's fine. But it was very important to my part because, as I've mentioned, this isn't a bloodstain case. This isn't a fingerprint or a tire track. This is verifying everything that was done the first time, starting over fresh and going down different avenues, including and excluding, different things. And if information comes forward, no matter how small or how big, it's going to be looked at, it's going to be analyzed, and if it can be excluded, it's going to be excluded, and you're back in the ball game. If it's something that would be helpful to SLED, it's going to be passed on to SLED immediately, and we'll take their direction as to whether we need to dig any deeper or not, or let those men and women do what they do. But this is a parallel investigation, but it's not a bad thing. This is trying to supplement and help where we can, and try to get the Smith family some answers.
So SLED is also investigating, and you are doing some work on behalf of Mr. Bland and Mr. Ricker, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That is correct. This is not criminal, what we're doing. I have no police jurisdiction in that area, but we're just going back and verifying and reworking. And sometimes, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, sometimes you go straight for the obvious. We're going the other direction, and if it points us back toward the obvious, then that's where the investigation will take us. But SLED doesn't share with us everything, or doesn't share with Mr. Bland everything. I'm sure there are things they are sharing with Mr. Bland and Mr. Richter, but they don't need to tell me everything, and they can't tell me everything. So any information I uncover that will help them is going to get to them. But this is going to be a case, we just need a small break, and someone knows something, no matter what manner, somebody knows something, and hopefully keeping it front and center and out public is going to put pressure where pressure needs to be applied, and it's going to help somebody come forward.